Battlefield 5 is approaching fast. We're just a few days away from the open beta and maybe 2 months from the final release. And when people think Battlefield, they usually think about the large-scale battles, the tanks, the planes, the massive all-out war. But beside those big players like Conquest or Operations, there have been other, sometimes slightly more experimental game modes in the history of Battlefield that grab players' attention. Welcome to my little channel, and today I'd like to talk about 3 game modes from previous titles that I would like to see return in Battlefield 5. The first one's from the series' most recent installment and came as quite a surprise to me. On paper, 2 armies chasing after a little winged creature in a cage sounds utterly stupid and almost silly. But as it turned out, Battlefield 1's War Pigeons mode soon became a personal favorite of mine. If you've been following the channel for a while, chances are you caught me playing nothing but War Pigeons on stream for weeks. And for good reason. The game mode is a fun, fast and focused change from the sometimes a bit drawn out or one-sided matches in the larger scale battles. In War Pigeons, your team actually can make a comeback, and the moment the round starts you can never be sure about how it's gonna play out. As far as I know, messenger pigeons were still around during World War II. Like the decorated war pigeon William of Orange, who delivered a message that saved the lives of more than 2,000 soldiers during the Battle of Arnhem in September 1944. So DICE wouldn't really need to drastically change the game mode to make it fit the new setting. If they wanted to modernize though, they could always replace the pigeon with something like a backpack radio transceiver, and instead of having one player retrieve, write and release the message, it could be made a 2-man task. One picks up the backpack and has to hold on to it until a stable connection has been established, and another one then relays the actual message to HQ. Either way, I hope we see a return of War Pigeons in one form or another, as it easily became one of my favorite game modes in Battlefield 1. Next on my list is Chainlink, an often overlooked game mode that was first introduced in Battlefield 4's Dragon's Teeth add-on. I know it never was the most popular mode when it came out and nobody plays it anymore. But I quite enjoyed it, and I think an updated version on a slightly larger scale could be something pretty cool. The main thing I liked about Chainlink was that in order to bleed the enemy's respawn points, you had to capture adjacent objectives, which put a nice emphasis on not only capturing but also defending your flags. Because if you just rush from flag to flag, something that can often be seen in traditional conquest games, chances are the enemy will quickly break your established links, as no one stayed behind to defend them. Now in Battlefield 4 it was an infantry-focused game mode, but if the main idea could be translated to larger maps including tanks and air vehicles, I think this could work really well, especially considering BF5's newly introduced fortification system, which could come in handy for defending your flags. And the final game mode I'd like to see make a return in Battlefield 5 is Scavenger from Battlefield 3. Scavenger was introduced in the Aftermath add-on in November 2012, and it's basically domination, but with a twist. You spawn with only a pistol, 1 grenade and a knife. You don't have any of your gadgets like ammo packs, RPGs, etc. and primary weapons can only be found scattered throughout the map, each with limited ammunition, usually 1 extra clip or magazine, and randomized attachments. This random element combined with the limited ammunition made it so worthwhile and exciting, because you didn't necessarily get a weapon you're familiar with and would see yourself running out of ammo quite often. So you constantly pick up new weapons to keep up the fight, and due to their random nature, you'd end up using a variety of different guns and attachments you might not use otherwise. In BF3 it was set in the aftermath of a devastating earthquake, which explained why everything was in ruins and all the equipment was scattered around the map. In BF5 I could see it set in the aftermath of a devastating airstrike, something like what we saw in the Gamescom trailer. And the scarcity of ammunition and lack of equipment would fit right in with BF5's new attrition system. One change I'd suggest though is the removal of stationary ammo crates like they had in BF3. It felt a bit counterintuitive to the game mode, because what usually happened was that you found a cool gun that you liked and then you just went to one of those crates that were always in the same location, giving you full ammunition, kinda negating the whole scarcity theme. And on top of that, they were always a welcome target for campers. So if there was one thing I would change, it would be the removal of those crates. But overall this was a great game mode, and unlike BF4's Chainlink, it's still being played, even on the 12-year-old PlayStation 3. Actually, the gameplay you're seeing in the background was recorded just last week. So what do you think? Could these game modes work in BF5? Would you like to see other game modes make a return? Let's hear about it in the comment section below. And before you leave, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button. If you didn't, do the opposite. Subscribe for more, enjoy gaming, and see you all next time.